Hello there, everybody. I'm Ross Pitt, Shark Hunter. This over here is Wizzy Puff.
Hi.
Wizzy Puff, say hello. Oh, you did. Huh? You did. You did say hello. Good.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello, loser. So, welcome to Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. Today is our 50th episode. Wizzy, what on earth are we reading for this 50th episode?
Ross's Diary.
Ooh! Look, Wizzy, I'll be honest. I don't want people to read this.
Ross, but we've been waiting for so long.
I know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll read it on the 100th episode or something.
Well, we gotta do something for this episode.
I got an idea.
Lay it on me.
50 episodes, Wizzy. So many fanfictions. You know what we could do? Make a list of our favorites. No, not just a list of our favorites. A list of all of them.
Oh, but I'm so unprepared.
Wizzy, it's okay. You just have to think with your mind. You just have to remember them off the top of your dome, man.
All right, let's do this. I feel bad for the stories at the bottom, though.
Yeah, me too. But it's just how the cookie crumbled, you know?
Crimbled? Did you just say crimbled?
I just said crumbled, pal. What are you gonna do? Beat me up?
I'm going to arrest you and put you in jail. Well, without further ado, would you like to start?
Of course I'll start. But before we begin, just so you all know, any ongoing series like the Celesti Code or Sunlight Sliders, those are off limits.
Oh, they are?
Yes.
Oh, well, I have them in my list. I guess I'll have to skip them.
Whoopsie doopsie. So yeah. Number 47. Sleep Tight, My Love. Sleep Tight, My Love.
I was just saying, yep.
Yeah. Oh, if we both like have a tie, or like if a certain story is like, I don't know, let's say number 47 on both of our lists, we should both just talk about that.
Yep.
So, yeah. Is it number 47 for you two?
It's number 47 for me.
Ah, okay. Fantastic. This story is just kind of, I would say it's very bland.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking is, it's sort of really, boring for the most part and feels like it's really trying to play at your emotions, but it doesn't do too good of a job at it. It's not, I will not say it's terrible. The writing, I remember it was pretty good, but it's sort of wasted on this story, coupled with the fact that I really don't like Sparity.
I pretty much agree almost to a T exactly with that. I do have like, I think it's too short, honestly, to make me care. I don't super mind the Sparity thing. As long as it's just like Spike likes Rarity and she really doesn't reciprocate it, I'm fine with Sparity. So I didn't really feel like it was like, from my memory of this, I honestly didn't go back and re-listen to every single episode. But from my memory of this, Rarity didn't like reciprocate, right? But like,
well, no, but I still just it felt so Sparity shipping, and I just don't like
It
that.
it did. And frankly, I have a problem with that, a major problem with that a lot in the show. But this honestly breaks my heart because it's the only Spike fan fiction we've read.
Oh my god, you're right. Oh, we need to do
And
more.
Spike, yeah, we absolutely do need to do more. Spike is my second favorite character of the show, of the canon show. Third favorite, if we are including Equestria Girls, which is canon, but like not like extra canon, you know. Main show, extra canon. Equestria Girls, it's canon, but like side canon. But anyways, so that hurts. That hurts a lot. But sadly, it has to get placed here. I can't really think of any other one I would place here.
Yeah. Something I would like to point out is we've read a lot of good fanfics.
We
So-
have.
If one of them is low, it's not because it's garbage. Because we've also read garbage fanfics,
Not naming names.
but just not on the podcast.
Yeah. But about that, I will say, Sleep Tight, My Love, not the worst Sparity fanfiction we've read. And I'll leave it at that.
On to the next one. For number 46, I put Equestria's Second Thanksgiving.
What a coincidence. Why, in my 46th spot, I also put Equestria's Second Thanksgiving.
These poor stories. Originally, I did put this higher because I combined it with the prequel, but Ross wouldn't let me do that. So separately, I just have to put it really low.
Yeah. It just seemed kind of unfair to the first one, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. It had a major drop in like story writing from the earlier one, which really disappointed me because the other one really impressed me. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah. I agree. Honestly, it's one of those things where reading it back to back, like if you watch like a movie and then a sequel to that movie back to back, but the sequel is like so much more below the first one,
Yeah.
it really drags down the first one. If I read like the first one on its own now, I would probably be like, it's all right. You know, it's not a terrible one.
You know, it really does remind me of the experience of watching Mulan and then like the next day watching Mulan 2.
Oh, man. I was thinking Now You See Me and then Now You See Me 2.
I've not seen that.
But Mulan 2 is much worse than Mulan 1 or Now You See Me 2, and Mulan 1 is much better than Now You See Me. So
and the message
really that's
sorry, the message in that fic with the whole parents thing of like her being like, this is my real family, that was really just totally shoehorned into there. It didn't feel real at all.
I agree. And no offense to the writer of this, I'm sure you're quite fine at what you do. In fact, I know that you're quite fine because the first one. But it was like just a sudden slap to the face.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's all good, all well and good. I don't want to offend anybody, just your story. So,
on to the next one.
Yep. 45. Equestria's First Thanksgiving.
Oh, really? You put it that low? Oh, it does not deserve that.
I don't think it's bad. I really don't. I just think the other ones are better. And maybe thinking back on it, I could have put maybe the next couple, one of the next like 4 below it. But really, just reading it, I have a lot of like problems with it, honestly. It just, while it did the Thanksgiving stuff well, it didn't do it like the best. I wasn't hoping for Thanksgiving right after this.
That is fair, but I think you're ignoring the good parts of the story to be letting that drag it down that far.
I can agree with that, but also there is another factor of I was kind of bored by it.
Oh.
Going back and re-listening to it. Even without the second one to drag it down and looking at it on its own, it's kind of somewhat anticlimactic almost. Also, I'm kind of bored by the main character.
Well, it's you, Ross.
It is me. Oh. Second person. I forgot. I hate second person. Okay. And if I'm remembering correctly, these are in second person.
That is something that I will get to when I get to that story on my list. I will sing its praises when I get to it on my list. But I don't want to, just say it all right now. That would leave nothing for later. But for
Absolutely.
This is 45th?
Yep.
Yeah, my 45th is Winter House. I haven't re-listened to that episode of our podcast or anything in a while, but from what I recall, it was just really boring. It had good writing and everything, but just there was no substance really. I don't remember there being a good ending. I don't really remember it being spooky. I just remember it being boring.
I could understand that. Yeah, it is. I will say it is kind of a boring story. I think the length doesn't really I'll talk about more of that when I get into it on my list, but
all right.
I think that's justifiable, certainly.
Number 44 for me is Celestial Scratch. So Celestial Scratch just seems like the writer has potential. If they really put in the effort, they can make a good story. But this felt like they weren't putting in the effort, really, because it feels all over the place, really. It didn't really feel like they cared where the story was going. Felt like they were just writing as they went along. And while it was sometimes funny, it just didn't really leave too much of an impact.
I can understand that. And honestly, yeah. If I had to also make a comment, which I guess I could when I get into it. But it is also fairly anticlimactic.
Yeah.
If we remember, Celestia just barges in and goes, "Ah!"
All right.
And then it ends.
Yeah.
So that was 44?
Yep.
Great. All right, my 44th is Winter House.
Oh.
So yeah, it is. I agree with pretty much everything Wizzy says, but when I re-listened to it, the two times I re-listened to it, when I was editing it and just one day I decided to re-listen to some episodes, I found that it had a lot more substance to it than I initially thought. It wasn't great or anything. It's number 44 on the list after all, but it did have a lot of, honestly, the creepy atmospheric vibes definitely push it up at least a little bit.
Okay. I guess I really should have re-listened to it before we made up our lists, but...
So I should have listened to a lot of episodes. But it has a lot more, it has a lot more to it than initially I gave it credit for. And also, the ending, confusing as shit.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that.
And that's kind of the point. We're not supposed to get it entirely.
Yeah.
But I was able to, upon re-listening, I was able to kind of understand what it's going for a bit better. So maybe it's just 2 times you'll be able to enjoy it a bit more. But who knows?
Yeah, I'll definitely have to give that a re-listen, and maybe I'll recant my statement on our 100th episode.
Ooh. Coming soon. In about a year or so. Slightly less than a year, probably, if we continue this weekly format. All right, so that's it for Winter House. Winter House is right out. 43. My 43rd pick is You Two Are What?
Oh boy, yeah.
I think this story, this and another story on our list involving gay, are surprisingly very similar.
God, no, you cannot compare them.
But
if you are comparing this to Public Boundaries, I'm leaving.
Here's the thing. Public Boundaries did that amazingly. You Two Are What? Fails really bad. Sadly. I think the worst thing you can do for a gay fan fiction, or a gay any piece of media, is make everyone around, and this isn't saying that you can't do this well, but it's making everyone around the main characters, or at least the 2 gay characters, look down on them.
Okay, yeah. The only reason I'd consider those 2 similar is because they're male-male gay romance.
That's not... I might, if I remember to, I'll double back on this when we talk about that one. But yeah, I consider them similar for a few reasons. Not a whole lot, but them being gay does help. And also, they're like the only 2 romance stories we've read.
I did put that one higher than Ross, but I will get to why I don't like it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But for my 43rd, I have As Celestia Is My Witness.
Ooh.
Now that one, I really don't have anything bad to say about it. It was nice. It was entertaining throughout reading it. It was funny at quite a few points. And it felt like a good story that you could just read whenever. It just really didn't leave as much of an impact as many of the others above it.
I agree with that. Totally understandable. The thing about that one is that not a whole lot to say about it. I'll get into that one later, of course. But yeah.
Okay. For the 42nd, I have The Most Annoying Infestation.
Oh.
This is the first of many that I'm going to say just felt like an episode of a sitcom, like My Little Pony is, I guess. Just like felt like an episode of the show. And it was cute, but it really didn't keep my attention throughout the whole thing. It felt redundant almost in a lot of the middle parts. And it could have been easily a lot shorter than it was. But it did have a good ending, and I'll give it that.
I agree. I think that, yeah, the redundancy definitely drags it down a lot.
Yeah.
For me. If it was, I don't know, a bit either quicker paced or longer with more things, I definitely think it could have been better. But my 42nd, you're going to hate me for this one. You're really going to hate me for this one.
Is this seriously going to be Public Boundaries?
Vinyl Scratch Bakes Cookies.
Oh. That one's a lot better than I expected, but it's probably better than you're going to give it credit for.
I like it. I think it's fun. Honestly, weirdly enough, kind of the same thing I feel, or that you feel with The Most Annoying Infestation. A lot of the same problems I have with that are also with Vinyl Scratch Bakes Cookies. But the main problem I have with it is that it's short. It doesn't need to be long. It really doesn't. I think honestly, it's probably the perfect length, but it's also just not a story I ever needed to read.
I don't really remember how long it was, but I do just remember that one being really wholesome. So I couldn't have ranked it as low as you.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's Final Scratch, and I love vinyl.
That's true. You do love vinyl. I know that for a fact. But yeah, Final Scratch Bakes Cookies. I enjoy it just fine. It's sweet, but sweet.
E.
But it just didn't have like enough in it for me. So, number 41. Heartswarming Eve 1,000 years ago. This one, it was an interesting way to start off like the Christmas season. It didn't have, again, I'm going to say this a lot. It actually, no, it did have substance in it. If I'm using that word correctly. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. I'm not a professional critic. Fuck you. But, the way it's presented is fine, but it just could have been better.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wasted potential in it. A lot of emotion that we could have, like, really had.
Yeah.
But it was bogged down by a short, like, the entire thing is very short, right?
Yeah.
1,000-something words. So it couldn't have gotten a whole lot of it in it. A whole lot of what it really needed to, like, make this really good in it. Of course, maybe there was a universe where that was, like, where that amount of words in this story was the perfect length, and it was hailed as the greatest story of all time. But it just wasn't in this one.
Yeah, I have to agree with what Ross said, but I will have some more specific things that I'd like to point out when I get to that story on my list.
Mm-hmm.
So for my 41st story, I have To Forgive a Nightmare. Now, To Forgive a Nightmare is another one of the stories that feels like an episode of the show. It has the antics throughout, it has the little funny bits, and has the lesson to be learned by the end of it. But again, like, I forget, it was one of the other stories that I was talking about. It just really didn't leave an impact. And that could be my fault for, like, just, like, my mood at the time of reading it. But it felt like it did its job, and its job wasn't as good as the stories ahead of it.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that.
Right.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. But, you know, not enough to, like... Sorry, I just realized how bad of an order I had something in. Needed to switch that around quickly. All right, so...
So if you have nothing else to say, I will get to my 40th.
I will have things to say on it, just not until we get to it on mine.
Okay. For my 40th, I have what was the friggin' name of that one? Hold on 1 second. I apologize. Oh, Heartswarming Eve, 1,000 years ago.
Well, what a coincidence.
It was nice and emotional and warm. It was really good at, like, the beginning and middle parts. It felt like it was building up to a really nice ending. But then the ending was really, like, anticlimactic and confusing. And it just did not deliver what I was hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
And my last complaint of that is also it had some weird sort of incesty feeling near the end, if I recall.
Okay,
right?
yes, I was gonna mention that because I was like, I think I remember a weird kind of incesty sort of thing, but I wasn't certain of it, so I didn't mention that. But, like, well, you know, let's be real here. As much as we don't like it, us two. I don't know about any of the listeners, but Lunestia is not one of the smaller ships on the show. It's quite a big ship, honestly.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible.
I don't like it, but at least in terms of the incestuous ships, it's not the worst one.
You're the only pairing that are big enough to have sex with each other.
That's not true.
Okay, fine. You wanna like throw adult Twilight or Cadence in there, Ross?
Well, first off, Twilight's always an adult unless we're getting a flashback episode.
Okay, I mean big Twilight. By adult, I mean large Twilight, alicorn Twilight.
Okay, well, in that case, yes, but also that's not what I was talking about. I was going to say that there are many, like, dragons their height.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could, Discord and Celestia is a pretty good ship.
That's not a bad ship, honestly.
If you want to tear him away from Fluttershy, that is.
Yeah. Which, frankly, that one's not. I'm not a fan of Fluttershy Discord, but, you know, I can understand that as a ship, and it's not a bad one.
I feel
just makes me sad because Discord's immortal.
I feel like I do like Discord and Fluttershy, but Discord and Celestia seem a lot better of a pair.
Yeah, I agree. But whatever. So that's all you have to say about that one?
Yep.
Awesome. So my number 40 is Celestial Scratch.
Ah, here it comes.
So Celestial Scratch is fine, but that's it. It's just perfectly fine. It's serviceable, but it just could have had a lot more to it. As I was saying earlier, it had an anticlimactic bit. Or it was anticlimactic at the end. And I just wish that there could have been more. It was a funny gag. It could have at least dragged on for, I don't know, 1,000 more words maybe. But it's understandable why the author maybe didn't, like, have the, I don't know, tenacity or whatever to finish it, because it's not a wowzer type of fic. It's not, the premise isn't great enough to go, oh, it should have been this much longer. But I'm just bummed out that it wasn't that much longer. But for what it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with all of that then.
Yeah.
But what do you have for 39?
Well, for 39, I'm glad you asked, Wizzy. You're so cute. Long Black Train.
Lone Black Train?
It was probably Lone Black Train, and I misspelled it. Yeah, Lone Black Train is good. I like the... almost really good. I like the premise. I love, the thought of, a black train taking you into, the afterlife. That's, one of my favorite ideas of, the Charon character. Or, sort of trope. Is the black train. It's very introspective and philosophical. But... it just isn't, memorable enough. And I think it could have used, I don't know, something more to it than just... and I guess I'm saying that a lot. It could have used more or something, but it's not the worst, version of this trope I've seen. But it's not the best.
Well, don't mistake me not being surprised earlier to me not being surprised, because what the heck? You put it that low?
Yep, I did.
I really thought you were going to get upset with me for putting it as low as I did, but I did not put it this low.
Well, I'm sorry, my man. Oh, I'm sorry, the audience. I just smashed my microphone in. It just isn't... I could have put it higher, but I didn't. Sue me, Wizzy.
I feel like a lot of your complaints with it are, I have those complaints too, but they're not as prominent, because the story writing and all that for that story, I'll get to that when I do. Like, I do have complaints with it, but I really thought you liked it more.
I did too, but I just liked everything else a bit more.
Well, for my 39th, I have You Two Are What?
What? I'm sorry, I just thought that was funny.
Now, this one might have been lower if it weren't gay.
Oh, brother.
But it was really disappointing. I was really hyped up for that story. It could have told a really good gay love story and still dealt with like issues like homophobia and stuff, but they dealt with it in like a really clunky bad way. It had its moments. Like, I really love the idea of like Brayburn coming out to gay as Applejack, and she's like really sort of concerned about it, and then like it's like, okay, fine, I understand, I accept you by the end. That part, I think they did good in that story. But the actual like story of them meeting and stuff, it felt really awkward. And also like I
agreed.
It didn't really feel romantic.
You're right. When you mention it like that, it didn't, honestly. Huh. Well, no matter. It's just a disappointing story.
Oh yeah,
what
also,
a shame.
It's from the same person as Discord Teaches Philosophy, which was one of the reasons I was so hyped up.
Oh,
I don't know, like, if there's years difference, and that was way before Discord Teaches Philosophy.
It was.
Okay.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, or don't. Seriously, guys, I don't care. You Two Are What came out in 2014, whereas Discord Teaches Philosophy came out, like, last year.
Oh. Okay. That explains the
yeah.
difference in writing. Because Discord Teaches Philosophy is way higher up on my list. But if that's everything, then I will get to my 38th.
All right.
Now, I blame Ross for this one feeling so empty, but Twilight Sparkle is in outer space.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Well,
Ross was a bit out of it when we recorded that episode. But I can't get past the feeling that it was just meh. It had good writing, it had funny parts, but it just didn't feel like a good enough read to put it higher.
Yeah. That's essentially my entire read of it as well. So,
okay.
Whenever we get to that one, just copy paste, man. I'll say more stuff about it, I'm sure, but essentially, yeah. So, my 38. As Celestia as my witness.
It's As Celestia is my witness.
Seriously?
Yeah, I kept seeing you typo that.
God damn it. Fuck. Alright, what? As Celestia is my witness. It should be As Celestia as my witness, though, because it's not as God is my witness, right? No, it's not.
I think it says God as my witness, but that's just not what they named the story.
Well, aside from a ridiculous name, funny episode, or funny, a funny fan fiction. But, it's not memorable in a whole lot of ways. It doesn't have, it's not laugh out loud as a lot of the, later ones on this list are. It's just there. And it's good, but not great.
Yeah. That pretty much sums that up for me, too.
Yep. So the next one is 37?
Yep.
All right, cool. To Forgive a Nightmare.
Aha.
I agree essentially with a lot of what you said. I think that this one had a bit more I did get this at the very least. I really did enjoy it when reading it. Editing it, though, was a bit of a slog, I'll be honest. But it was good. I just felt like a lot of the dramatic moments in it weren't earned as much as it could have been. Obviously, always enjoy Celestia in anything ever, because Celestia, perfection incarnate, but, Luna just doesn't feel like Luna to me all that much. She is what a lot of people consider to be the Luna in the fandom, but fandom Luna just isn't Luna to me. And that's not always a bad thing, but for this one, it kind of was.
Okay, well, that was not a complaint that I have, because from what I know of Luna, that did feel like Luna, but I only know of her from fan fiction and, like, very few My Little Pony clips, so that makes sense.
Yeah. That'd do it. Yep, get to Forgiven Nightmare out of here. Throw it. Get on out of here. You ain't in this list anymore.
Well, now we move on to 36, where I have put Equestria's First Thanksgiving.
Ah.
I just really did find it really impressive how they made a second-person fan fiction that worked around having the main character remain nameless like it did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really don't see that in any fan... I've read mainly bad second-person fan fictions.
Right.
But this one really did do a good job of working around that. It had I think it did have a warm holiday feeling and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It honestly would have gotten a higher place, but the sequel did probably knock it down a few pegs.
Yeah.
As did that story bring the sequel up above Sleep Tight, My Love, which probably would have been in last place if it were a lone story.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Preach. Mm-hmm. That's essentially what I'm doing. I agree with a lot of what you did say. I will give it this, though. In terms of second-person narratives I've read, it's at least a bit better than a whole lot of the other ones I've read. So I wrote a surprising few and did not like just nearly any of them. I do like it. And now I'm contemplating maybe I should have put it higher, but well, I put it where I did, and so did you.
Yep.
And neither of us should be angry at the other just because.
Well, I might be angry at you in one of these next stories, but I believe that wait, is it my turn next?
We were on 36, right?
Yes.
Then it is my turn.
Okay.
36 is The Writing on the Wall. So yes, I did just have 2 of the Halloween episodes in. The Writing on the Wall is good. It's kind of creepy, but it for a story with the horror tag, I'm pretty sure it has the horror tag. I might be wrong. Maybe it just has the dark tag, but it prides itself on a lot of horror stuff in it, and it didn't have any of that sort of thing until the very end of it. And even then, it cuts very quickly, so it's not like, oh, it's essentially like a jump scare to something really stupid in, like, a movie. Like, oh, I mean, it's a dumb analogy, don't get me wrong, what I'm making, but it's just, it feels like it's building to something, and then it does have a payoff, but it's just not, it doesn't have what I would have preferred in the rest of it. It's basically just a normal story until like a third of the way through, or 2/3 of the way through. And then it starts to get creepy. And
I feel like you're looking at it from the wrong perspective, because if you're just in it for the horror, then that's your problem. It wasn't just a horror story.
you're not wrong.
it like offered a lot more to the story than the horror aspect. And
However, everything else in it, I actually thought was boring.
oh,
Well, not boring, but not memorable. I didn't care about anything else in it. I certainly enjoyed recording it though, with our wacky voices.
You're right. Yeah.
But still, especially because we did that one for a Halloween episode, which was a bad idea. But yeah, that's my opinion, man.
Yeah.
So on 35, we have Twilight Sparkle is in Outer Space.
Aha.
So copy paste Wizzy's whole thing right there. I haven't gone back to listen to this episode. Let me tell you, I was tired, and Wizzy having to stay up all night to get to record with Wizzy. Yeah, that hurts, and it especially showed in this one. For what I do remember, though, it was funny, but it just didn't have anything else in it, really, if you ask me. Which you don't need to ask me. Don't ask me anything.
Yeah, I feel like that one is a bit of a victim of circumstance from how we were recording it and reading it when we did.
Sadly. Whoever wrote that, I, for some reason, did not write down the names of the authors, which I should have. That's a whoopsie on me. We'll have all the links in the description, though. We better.
For my 35th, I put down, Were We the Bad Guys?
Ah.
Now that story, it was really funny at some points, but it felt like they were sort of just writing out as they went along for a lot of it, and it went on way too long. Like a lot of that middle part could have been cut out.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that the middle part certainly took a dip, but the ending, I feel like, well, I'll talk about that, I suppose, later. I'll talk about it right now. But the ending, I feel like, at the very least, it had a good ending. I enjoyed the ending, at least.
Okay.
So.
Now we get down to 34, where I've put Eyes in the Trees, Bodies in the Leaves.
Ooh.
This is the first story in this episode to be boosted by sentimental points because we recorded it with Chase. Now, that really does help it because I had a really fun time recording that, and I hope we can get Chase back on the podcast at some point. But really, the story, while it wasn't bad, it felt unoriginal, really, for a horror story. It didn't really scare me, it just felt unoriginal, like something I've seen before. And that's my complaint with it.
That's interesting. All right, so, yeah. I can understand that. I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. So, we're on 34?
Yep.
Kick me, I didn't write the full name because it's a long one, but I at least know the author of this one. I know the author of this story very well. 6 characters have henceforth found a point and are now trying to figure out what to do with it, I believe is the title.
Yeah, I think that's the title. You really put it that low?
By Caffeinated Pinky.
Oh.
It was fun, but when comparing it to the other one, 6 characters in search of a point, it just doesn't do it as well in the slightest, honestly. I love you, Caff. You're my favorite person of all time. Not including you, Wizzy. Yes, including Wizzy. But it just, and she's the first to acknowledge, it just doesn't do it as good as it could be.
Well, of course she'd say that. She's the author.
That is true, though. You've got a good point on that one. But yeah, a fun story, but could be better.
Well,
and it has been done better.
That that definitely does not reflect my views.
And that's okay. I believe it's also Sammy's least favorite too, isn't it?
Okay, well, Sammy's seen like 6 episodes. Come on.
That's true. That is true.
And that was around the time we had we were doing like a moment's worth and the only day. Like, of course, that would be the least favorite out of those.
Yeah, you know what? Fair to it. Sammy's got to see more of her episodes, dude.
Yeah, she does.
Sammy is his sister, by the way. I don't know if we've ever actually said that.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Sammy. Well, for my 34th? 33rd?
We should be on 34 right now, so.
Okay. For my 34th, I've put, hold on 1 second. I'm forgetting things. Yes, vinyl scratch bakes cookies.
Ah, I see. I'm surprised how low this one is.
I don't really talk about this one being that great. It does exactly its job of making me feel happy when I read it. It feels like another episode.
Have you gone back to read it?
No.
How many times have you gone back to read it?
After it was uploaded once.
Ah, interesting.
But I mean, I usually do that with our episodes. I watch them after they're uploaded. Unless I edited them. But I feel like it was like a cute little thing. She's baking the stuff for Octavia. And, oh no, she's bad at it. It just feels like a cartoon. And I like that. And I like Vinyl Tavia, whatever you call it.
Octi-Scratch. Yeah, Octi-Scratch.
Okay.
I don't know which one's better. No, wait, we had an exact discussion of that, I think, before. It was either Octavia Scratch, or Octavia Vinyl Scratch, or, what was it? Lyra Bonbon. It was one of those two ship names that we were conversing about in an episode. I might have cut it out, though. I can't remember. I know which episode, though.
For 33, I've put I Fluttershy. Or September's Children.
It was or Autumn Without End, but okay.
That's right.
Or September's
Remember, that's the other name for the song Make It Stop by Rise Against.
Oh.
That's the only thing that I could think of. It's like in parentheses afterward.
You know what? It still works. You continue.
That one was written really well. And it did feel really tragic, like it was supposed to, I believe. But it fell short at quite a few points, and there really wasn't an ending.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's what they were going for, and I just don't really like it.
I see. Wizzy's just a pansy, you see.
You're saying that because I'm gay, and that's a slur.
Ah, shit, I forgot. Wizzy's just a kind homosexual man who also happens to be a wuss. That all you have to say about it?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I have to say about you. Number 33 for me is... I'll get into it more
I guess
later.
Ross has it a lot higher.
I can understand where you're coming from. Again, though, I don't agree.
All right, go ahead. What was yours?
33 is I Flip... No, I'm kidding.
You don't agree, but you put it in the exact same place.
Sorry, it's just funny.
You're just going to be like, I actually disagree with him. I found it too happy.
All right, sorry, people. We're already an hour in, almost.
Oh, man.
At least in the recording. A lot of this will probably be cut down, but... All right, my number 33 is Red Yellow.
Understandable.
And you must know, everybody, you must know, Sunset Shimmer is bae. She is my waifu. I adore
Ross,
Sunset
please.
Shimmer more than anything. It's okay, she's human.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
Originally not.
Sure, originally not, but we're not counting originally.
If I took a dog and made it human and you were like, that's Bae, and I was like, wait, that was a dog at one point, would you be like,
She was
ew?
also sentient, though.
Okay, that's fair.
So, yeah, Red Yellow. I love Sunset Shimmer. This is a good origin story for her, but the way it's presented, it's not particularly interesting to me. It didn't capture me in a way like certain other Sunset Shimmer things. Just Sunset Shimmer in general did capture me. But yeah, not, and also there's just not a whole lot to say about it. Like, it had an interesting idea for Sunset Shimmer's origins and why there isn't a human Sunset Shimmer, but it's not perfect. Let's face it, guys. Come on, you come closer. Come closer. We both know it's not perfect. It doesn't do it the best.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense that from someone who's watched the show, you'd rank it lower, but as someone who has not, there's reasons for why it's higher for me.
Mm-hmm. That's understandable. Wasn't this your first introduction to Sunset Shimmer? The glorious, glorious Sunset Shimmer?
I believe it was.
That's interesting. Very, very interesting. So for 32, we have one that Wizzy hated. We have one that Wizzy hated so much that he never... No, I'm kidding. It's sort of kidding. It's the most annoying infestation.
Right.
Being cute goes a long way for me. And this is the most adorable thing we've ever read. Freaking little bat, whatever his name was, it was a long fucking name and I loved it. He's the cutest fucker ever. I love him. I want to squeeze him tight. And
if this was written in crayon by a 3-year-old, Ross would rank it number 1.
Possibly. But yeah, it depends on the handwriting. Let's be real. I'm sorry, but if I can't read it...
Sorry, little Johnny, but the handwriting could use some work, buddy.
If little Johnny gets an A on his handwriting, this thing is going all the way up to the top. But it's cute as shit, and what really elevates it is where I'm getting into the nitty-gritty of things. What really elevates this story is that it is Rainbow Dash taking care of it. If it was any other member of the main 6, I just don't think it would have the impact that it had on me.
Mama Rainbow Dash is a good trope.
Adorableness, and let's be real here. Rainbow Dash's best mom. We can't deny it any longer, everybody. I don't care what you say about Applejack or Fluttershy or Pinkie Pie, who actually became a mom. Rainbow Dash, 100% best mom. Full stop.
I'll accept that that's your opinion.
And I'll accept that you don't watch the show. You don't fucking know, Wizzy.
Ooh, Big Waz wants me to watch the show, but in reality, the only place where she's become a mother is fanfiction, so... Ugh.
Anyways, you can go.
Okay, for my 32, I believe it is, I did not try and rank these too much based on, like, sentimental value, though some of them did get boosts in sentimental value. Because if I did, stories like this would be higher. It is, according to plan, Vinyl and Octavia's Hearth's Wubbing Eve, I believe is the name.
That is exactly the name.
I really liked this one because I read it around Christmas. Because it's just like cute little Octavia and Vinyl, and they're like, oh, my parents made you so sad. And then I'm like, oh no, I made you sad because I was with your parents or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is just like the Christmas aspect to that. It was around the season. So I did rank it where I ranked it, but I did really like it. It was cute and funny.
I agree. I'm actually surprised I have it higher than you.
Yeah.
I'll blame the holiday, I guess.
I gotta say, from anything I know about Vinyl from the show, no fan fiction that we've read has gotten her character as good as that one that we read off the podcast. What was that called?
I can't remember the name. It was by Short Skirts and Explosions.
Oh. Oh, wow. No wonder.
And you're right. That one is fantastic.
Yeah.
In terms of Vinyl Scratch, that one's...
Yeah.
Also the fan fiction that started the podcast, so...
Make Vinyl Scratch talk, and instantly the character is sort of worse than it would have been in the show, because I really like what I know of Vinyl from the show.
That's interesting. Honestly, part of her charm in the original fandom days was Noaking voicing her.
Yeah, but
to many fans, in fact, including the creators of the show, I think, if anyone but Noaking voiced Vinyl Scratch, would have ruined the character completely.
Did she actually have any voice lines in the show, though?
No, she did not.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just like the idea of her being mute.
I do too. I think it's honestly really either funny or charming.
Mm-hmm.
Like a mute DJ who makes songs like that. It's nice. So
my 31st is Censored.
Dude,
you have that
too?
Finally, we get back to syncing up.
Oh my god, we're so in sync. Everybody, you would not believe it.
Yeah, Censored, it feels like it does its job. It's entertaining throughout the entire story, and it makes me laugh. It's not bad by any measure. It's just not remarkable. It does have the whole like Rainbow Dash mommy trope again, which
Hallelujah. Praise.
I do love. Not as much as Ross, of course, but yeah, I feel like Ross probably likes this more than me, even though we ranked them in the same place. Either that or we just like it for different reasons.
I think going forward, I might have like my opinions of certain fan fictions wherever they're placed just tiny bit higher than you. Like on the enjoyment scale. Because I'll be honest, in terms of criticism, I'm not great at it, and I enjoy that. I enjoy liking things. So when I don't like something, it sucks. But, Censored. Funny fan fiction. Obviously, we got my girl Sunset Shimmer. I think this might be the last Sunset Shimmer one, sadly.
I mean, unless we include the Sunset Sliders.
Which we don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a really good Sunset Shimmer portrayal. I freaking loved Sunset Shimmer in this one. But, and also, it's interesting. I ranked the two babysitting ones back to back.
Yeah, I'd noticed that one.
This just did it a bit better because I enjoyed the the pacing more. I really thought that this one, Wizzy said for the most annoying infestation, that one kind of dragged out. And I feel like that one could have, either been longer, added more things, or been a lot shorter. This one, I think, could have been a tad shorter, but that's only a maybe. That's a maybe because it took so long to edit.
Yeah, I'd definitely have to agree with you that it basically feels like if the other one was done better, except in one area, the bat was cuter than Flurry Heart was in this.
Yes. That's something I was going to mention. Exactly that.
Yeah.
Funny story. So I guess I'll go then.
Yep.
Number 30 for me is Were We the Bad Guys?
Ooh.
I'll be honest. I'm a biased man. When I see lemon zest, I click. I fucking love lemon zest in anything. So that's automatically getting a higher ranking for me. But no, it's also interestingly philosophical more than it needed to be. And I think for some people that might drag it down. For me, that actually raised it up. It was not philosophical in terms of like, oh, am I the bad guy in my own life? But in terms of how I view stories, philosophical. I think it did that well, but it didn't do it for the whole thing, which is why I don't think it's higher, and I don't think it actually had anything to really say about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would actually have to agree with you. The part of the whole philosophical aspect I did actually like, but also the potential there, it could have been a lot more put together and the message delivered better than they did. Because there was a lot of the points in it where it's like, the colors on our uniform, they make us look bad. And I'm just like, no, that's not why you're the bad guys. It's not the colors on your uniform. It's not your team name. It's how you act as a person. And I felt like it was sort of delivering mixed signals.
I think at the end, the point was that they got it wrong. And Cadence told them off on why they're the bad guys. And I think, honestly, if Cadence didn't have that long rant, even though she should not be a dean after that, I fucking loved it. I loved every second of that rant. It was great. But that's my number 30. I did enjoy it. Could have used more lemon zest, though, as everything could use.
Going back, I definitely would have voiced that rant differently. I would have tried to sound way more angry, but the voice I was doing was supposed to be like some sort of like soothing Southern belle at first, so
yep. It didn't work, but I laughed.
Yeah. Number 30. May those who walk through this door know what it means to rule.
Ah, an interesting choice.
Another philosophical one.
Indeed.
So that one, it really did have a rewarding ending, I felt. But it felt sort of empty at parts. It felt like Swiss cheese, where there's just sort of like holes throughout it, bumps along the ride. And I think if someone were to like redo it, I think they could do a better job. But I did really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
The ending made most of it worth it.
Yeah. You know, early on we did have a lot more philosophical ones, didn't we?
Yeah, kinda. But I think we're still doing that. Like, a moment's worth wasn't too long ago, right?
You're right. They're certainly more spread out now, though. Previously, it was like either every episode or every other episode we were doing one. It's good to have variety nowadays, eh? Hey, guys. Hey.
Okay, so now we go down to number 29. I have red and yellow.
Oh, red, yellow. The same one as May Those Who Step... The same episode as May Those Who Step Through This Door Know What It Means to Rule. What a coincidence.
I think I have a couple of those on these lists just like paired right next to each other, so that's kind of funny. I'd only noticed that after compiling them.
Comedy.
So I think red and yellow really did exceed my expectations, and it did like dodge a few minds that I sort of expected it to be written poorly and make me like the story less, but they didn't actually go the route that I expected it to go. It went in a different route that I liked a lot more, and I liked it. I liked it.
Well, that's good, man. You know, that's interesting. I can actually kind of quite agree with you on that one. I wouldn't put it higher, but
Okay.
I
Okay, I get it.
I understand and I agree. So is that it?
Yeah.
That sounds about it. Next one is number 29. Maybe I should have put this higher, but whatever. The Brief Reign of Princess Twily.
Oh boy.
So, this was probably the third most cute one we've had. Maybe the second. I don't know. It was really cute, though.
Yeah, I feel like I'd say third most.
But it had... I don't know my real problem with it. I just didn't enjoy it, like, all the way through. I was like, oh, this is adorable, positive, precious, but it could have... I don't want to say done a better job, but it could have been more, I suppose. But I don't know. It just didn't grab me like I think many others up further could have.
Yeah, I definitely understand that perspective on it, because I do feel like the comedy and cuteness aspect sort of made up for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. But enough about that one. We'll move on to number 28, which is, according to plan, Vinyl and Octavia's Heart-Swabbing Eve.
Hey, that's pretty close to mine.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a good one. It's fun. It's a nice one. I enjoy it. But here's the thing. In terms of Christmas stories, this one, it's certainly not one I would revisit during the holiday. I think any other Christmas one above this, I would like be so down to like go back to. But when I was really feeling in the Christmas mood and I listened to and when I was editing this one, I was like, it's good, but I'm not feeling that spirit, you know?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that one.
Top that off with Vinyl Scratch. Though I love the character, I honestly agree with what Wizzy says, and I actually think this is one where it could have been like they could have done Vinyl Scratch as a mute, although I think this might have been before like all that was like in place.
I sort of just assume that any story where she's not was from before then.
Well, maybe. Who knows? Who knows, really? Who knows about anything? No one. That's all I have to say about that, I think.
All right. For my 28th, I've put down Dear Sweetie Belle.
Interesting.
It was really nice to read. I definitely enjoyed recording it. It had a nice twist that I did predict. I gotta gloat about that.
You did.
And it was written in like a really creative style. I liked how they made it seem like you're reading the note along with her, but then it sort of just get immersed in the story. But I do see like a lot of places where it could be better. Specifically in places that me and Ross, I think we had already talked about on that episode.
Yeah. We certainly went into length about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I'm not remembering too much about it that I did have a problem with, but I did have it while I read it. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah. I certainly... I definitely don't have it this low, trust me. Obviously. Otherwise I would have said something about it before then. But, yeah, no, I agree with a lot of your praises. Some of your complaints, maybe I disagree. We'll just have to see. So, number 27.
Okay, for number 27, I've put Roomies.
Ah!
What?
I just think that's interesting. I don't have it on number 27. I just think that's interesting. Roomies.
It would have gotten ranked a lot lower, mainly just because I forgot a lot of it. But I did re-listen to it, thankfully. And it really is a great story. It made me feel like nostalgic for a past I never had. And it had lessons to be learned. And like that one great cathartic scene where Sunset is just like venting to Twilight. Like, I really liked that scene. That was written really well. And yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
It is certainly a fun one, or at least enjoyable one. Probably the most lighthearted, dramatic one we've had on the podcast.
Maybe.
But for number 27, it isn't Roomies. It's I Fluttershy, or Autumn Without End. The interesting thing about this one is that we're now the only place, unless it's on FimFetch, but I don't think it is. We're now the only place you can freaking read this or freaking see this story, because the author took it down as well as its sequels.
I think you mean here. I'm getting back at you for all the times you've corrected me when I said watch.
Fuck. Okay, but I deserve that, I'll be honest. It's a good, actually almost really good story for me. But it is so depressing in some parts.
Yeah.
That I agree. It can get like, whew, let's pick it up a bit. But there's honestly, we've read one story which I think is even more depressing, but it's that one I actually rank quite high. But I Fluttershy is a bummer, and it continues to be a bummer, and it doesn't stop being a bummer at the end.
Yeah.
But I really like the discussions between Fluttershy and human thing? That guy? Whoever the hell it was. I'm just going to call him Death, even though I don't think it was Death. Fluttershy and Death, maybe he has a name, I can't remember. They had some really interesting discussions in it. And that really boosted it up for me, I feel like. Because otherwise, it's a good story, but it gets bogged down. But those two discussing it, it honestly was sort of alleviating in a way.
Yeah. I feel like I've ranked it so low just because there's a line before senselessly violent that I feel like it just exceeded.
Mm-hmm.
But excessively depressing. With movies like what's it called? I always think of this when I just think of tragedies.
House of Leaves. I don't know if that's a thing.
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream. That's it.
That
was
it's just sad, and it doesn't make up for that. It's it doesn't even make me cry. It's just sad.
I can understand that. I think,
and only makes me want better for the characters.
I think with something like I Fluttershy compared with Requiem for a Dream. Okay, full disclosure, haven't seen Requiem for a Dream. I don't know. Is that just depressing without meaning, or is there a reason for the characters to be or for whatever it is to be depressing and all that?
There's a reason, but I just don't know if it's obviously a work of art.
Mm-hmm.
But as a piece of entertainment, as a piece of art, I can totally appreciate it. As a piece of entertainment, it doesn't have a resolution that I prefer happy endings, I guess.
Certainly. I think I do prefer happy endings as well, but if I don't get a happy ending, unless it's something I really don't like, I can be fine with it. And this one, I think what doesn't, what saves it in the end is that it's not like a 38 chapter story. It is one chapter, 4,000 words, super easy to get through, even like, so it wasn't the most, I didn't spend so much time with it that I was like, fuck me, I just want to die.
That's actually weird. I did not remember it only being 4,000 words. It felt a lot longer.
I think it was 4,000 to 5,000 something, but I'm pretty sure it was 4,000 something. But yeah, it. Thankfully, though, the only way you can view it is us now.
Oh no, we've hyped it up so much, and you can only view it on our podcast.
Oh well, guess you're just gonna have to listen to it. But also with us, it's like we're funny guys. You could tell. Unfortunately, it was one of the earlier episodes, so it was like not as good as some of our later ones. But you know, all right, that one we spent quite a bit of time on. Number 26 is May Those Who Step Through This Door Know What It Means to Rule.
Man, we're getting some of these really close together.
Yeah, go us, man. I mean, I expect like our top few to be like also like pretty close.
I hope so.
So, May Those Who Step Through This Door Know What It Means to Rule is philosophically one of my favorites that we've read. It poses a philosophical idea and I think makes it work with what it has, and it does it in a very short way. Short, concise, and if I was supposed to write a paper on it in philosophy class, I would be able to. It's not like mind-boggling. I'm not shocked by the conclusion, but it's really still solid in what it has, and I don't think we gave it enough credit in the original episode. I really like it.
That is true. Yeah, I feel like I was sort of distracted at the time that I was reading it.
You were like, I mean, whatever. I didn't really get it. But now I think you do get it.
Was that like after we had read Red and Yellow?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably to its detriment, because I was probably still thinking about Red and Yellow that entire time.
Yeah, probably. Oh well. That's rough, bud. No, but yeah. I very much enjoy it. So go give it a read if you haven't. I don't know who it was by, but it's got such an easy name for you to remember. May those who step through this door know what it means to rule. Go fetch it out. Nothing much else to say on it, though.
Then I have Forever Young. Don't get mad at me.
I won't.
Okay.
I'll get fuming at you. Fuck you!
It was definitely one of the more relaxing stories that we've read. I felt like it was just a really, like, you're on a rocking chair reading this story on a nice summer day. That's how I imagine it.
Yeah.
And I would definitely 100% recommend it. It's just not really my style, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It was sad at some parts. It was joyful at some parts. It had a good moral. But it just didn't leave as much of an impact as the story is ahead of it.
I could understand that. You know, Wizzy, you're a good man. Wrong, but a good man.
Oof. For 25, I have Writing on the Wall, which I really just don't get Ross's perspective. I felt like it was a roller
enlighten
coaster.
me, you son of a bitch.
I felt like it was a roller coaster ride, basically. It did have the horror, but it also had action and mystery and drama, and I thought it did a great job of like bringing you along while you're reading that and immersing you into the story.
A little bit of action, maybe, but I can understand the rest.
I'm telling you.
I just don't think it's... I don't know. I don't think it worked for most of those. But this is your number, so...
Yeah, get off my number.
If you want to continue, you can continue.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
What's your 25th?
Well, this is actually one that I don't understand Wizzy's perspective on.
Oh boy.
Coincidentally, it's my second favorite story in terms of horror. But it's also the third horror fic we've read, and we've only read 3 technically. Eyes in the Trees, Bodies in the Leaves.
Aha.
This one, sentimental value with Chase and all that, blah, 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 blah. I don't get scared by this. I don't get scared by any story. I didn't get scared by House of Leaves or Dracula or Frankenstein even. I don't get scared by stories.
Ross is a big boy.
It didn't scare me, but the imagery that it conveys, I think, stuck with me a lot. A lot more than, like, some other stories that I've read. It was very... It didn't make a lot of sense by the end, but it worked in this one, I feel like. And I don't mind... I don't mind a lot of the things, like, that we complained about in the episode. I don't mind them at all, actually. Yeah, it's...
I was just going to say, with horror stories, I need originality. And someone being chased through the woods like that just doesn't feel that original to me.
It doesn't feel original, but I don't... Well, Wizzy, that's just not the point of it. No, I don't think... I haven't seen, like, being chased through the woods like that, honestly, and I think that helped. But it also helped with the fear factor because it was a child in danger. If you know me, you'll know that's like children in danger, not my cup of tea. If that happens, I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. So that's like in a movie where a human child dies, I cannot most of the time.
Oh, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. That one, it hurt. It wasn't scary, but it hurt.
With horror stories, I really do like the classic ones because they really deal with like all these different situations and of horror of the unknown and whatnot. And with like modern ones, I always prefer them to be like true stories. Because that's actually what really gets me scared. It's like stories of people walking home at night and some stranger comes up to them and is really weird. But with this one, it just was supposed to be a horror story that lacked in the horror aspect, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I could understand that. It's just, I just don't get scared by horror in stories. Or even a lot of horror, like, in video games or movies anymore. Real life. That's the trouble. But, yeah. The stuff doesn't scare me, so this was just another horror thing for me. And I think that it did work well.
Yeah. We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah. We'll also agree that I'm right. Anyways, number 24. Fluttershy's Extremely Odd Jobs.
Oh.
This one I did enjoy quite a bit. And I think we should also say rest in peace to the author.
Yeah.
Who at the time when we were recording and editing and uploading, we did not know had passed away. So that was a kick. And my condolences to anyone who was affected by that. But Fluttershy's Extremely Odd Jobs was really good. And that's interesting considering how low it is. But I didn't think that it had a whole lot of stuff in it. To where I was like, oh yeah, that's like incredible. One of the best. No, it was just a really solid story. And that was nice. Funny too. Not much else to say though.
Yeah, I'd agree with a lot of that, but when we get to it on my list, I'll be a little bit more specific.
Mm-hmm. And I hope you are, because, well, it wasn't specific with me.
Okay, for my 24th, Ross might be a little bit mad at me, but it is I, Daybreaker, which I know Ross loves. It was going to get a much lower spot on my list, I'll be honest. But I did re-listen to it.
You were scared I would come to your house and kill you.
I re-listened to it before making up my list. And I guess initially when reading it, I didn't get much of it. But I realized how great of a job of portraying the dark and dramatic world that MLP could be. Because, like, Celestia is a character that has all this stuff going on, but it's still portrayed in the light of My Little Pony, where everything's happy and bright. But when it's in writing like this, I think it does a better job of going through Celestia's life and showing how cruel and how cruel she could be in the position that she's in, but how human she is and how she chooses to deal with each event that comes up.
Praise be to Celestia, hallelujah.
Also, I gotta say, re-listening to it, this was one of the best episodes we've recorded. Like, I just loved what we did for the characters.
What we did for the characters was really good.
And what we did for the banter.
I re-listened to it nowadays, and I'm like, I could have edited that a lot better, because I notice all of the little editing mistakes that I messed up, but
yeah,
so many things that I could have done better, especially for this story. But I agree, the recording was really good.
Yeah, but you know, there are a lot of better stories, which, as long as you're okay with, I will go to the first one after that, which would be number 23.
Hey there, Wizzy here. I know how excited you are to hear our next picks, but you're just gonna have to stick around for part 2. Peace.